Imagine walking into a room so still it almost feels like it's holding its breath. For a moment, the world softens, like the slow warmth of a late afternoon settling on your skin, and something inside you becomes quiet enough to finally listen. The light here doesn't just shine, it lingers. It wraps around you gently, the way a memory does when it wants to be felt instead of explained. There's a faint shift in the air, a whisper of fabric, a hint of scent you can't quite name, the kind that makes you pause without knowing why. And then you see them. Four dresses hanging in the silence, not as objects, but as invitations. Each one holding its own mood, its own pulse, its own truth. They aren't chosen with logic, or style, or thought. They're chosen with something much deeper. That quiet, inner tug you only feel when your mind steps aside and your soul steps forward. One dress carries the softness of early spring, the kind of gentleness that touches your skin before you notice it. Another stands with a clean, steady presence, a shape drawn in certainty. The third moves like it's made of breath and rhythm, ready to bend, twist, break any rule that ever tried to contain you. And the last holds depth, a quiet magnetism, a gravity that doesn't ask for attention, but receives it anyway. Carl Jung once said that our intuitive choices reveal the parts of ourselves we rarely speak out loud. So, right now, in this still room, nothing needs to be analyzed. Nothing needs to be compared or justified. Just look. Let your gaze settle. Wait for that tiny shift inside you, that soft, unmistakable click that whispers, "This one." Because the dress you choose isn't random. It's a reflection, a mirror, a moment of your inner world speaking in its own quiet language. That quiet pull you feel, the one that nudges your attention toward a single dress, that's not imagination. That's your inner world choosing in a language deeper than words. It's the part of you that speaks softly, the part that lives beneath roles, routines, expectations, all the layers you wear without noticing. In this moment, none of that matters. You don't need to analyze anything. You don't need to ask what makes sense, what looks right, or what anyone else would choose. This is not a decision for the mind. It's a recognition, a remembering. Just breathe. Let your gaze settle where it naturally wants to go. And notice the small shift in your chest, that tiny inner exhale that whispers, "Here." Because the dress calling to you isn't just fabric or color or shape. It's a reflection of what's unfolding inside you right now. This season of your life, this moment in your story, this quiet truth rising to the surface. And as you stand there, feeling that subtle tug, something becomes clear. Your heart already knows where to look. If you're drawn to the light, airy dress, the one with a softness that feels like early spring after a long winter, then there's a gentle radiance in you that doesn't need to announce itself. It's the kind of brightness that shows up quietly yet changes the entire atmosphere. You carry a tenderness that isn't weakness at all. It's a strength the world often forgets how to honor. The kind of strength that listens before speaking, feels before judging, and moves only when the soul is truly ready. You're not someone who forces your way through life, you sense your way through it. You notice the space between words, the shift in someone's voice before they even realize they're hurting, the beauty in tiny, everyday details most people rush past. Sunlight on a wall, wind through leaves, someone smiling to themselves when they think no one is watching. You don't live in bold outlines, you live in nuance, atmosphere, emotion, texture. And if anyone has ever made you feel too sensitive, let this be the moment you let that idea drop from your hands and break on the floor. You were never too much. You were simply tuned to a different frequency, one that the world is often too loud to hear. You're not fragile glass. You're water, adaptable, persistent, quietly powerful. Water doesn't shout to carve stone, it simply keeps flowing until the mountain reshapes itself. If this gentle, airy dress is the one that reached for you, then there's a quiet glow inside you that the world doesn't always notice, but anyone truly present can feel. It isn't loud, it isn't dramatic. It's the kind of light that softens a room without trying. Your sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's a form of intelligence. You feel life in layers most people skip over. Not because you're fragile, but because your awareness runs deep. You move through the world like someone who can hear the emotional weight in silence, or sense the truth behind someone's eyes even when their words sound fine. Where others rush, you notice. Where others overlook, you understand. Where others close off, you open, even when opening has cost you before. And that's the thing. You have been hurt, yet your heart never hardened. It bent, healed, grew back softer, not weaker. There is a kind of bravery in that softness that people rarely acknowledge. The courage to feel, the courage to care, the courage to stay gentle in a world that rewards hardness. You're someone who values warmth over noise, sincerity over spectacle, presence over performance. You don't need chaos to feel alive. You don't need drama to feel connected. You're built for closeness, the kind that's quiet enough to hear two breaths sinking in the dark, calm enough that being next to someone feels like being wrapped in sunlight. There may be moments when you feel out of step with the pace of the world. People move fast, talk fast, change fast. And your rhythm is different. Natural. Unforced. More like the slow opening of a flower that refuses to bloom before it feels the light. You're not late. You're aligned. And when someone truly sees you, sees your softness, your intuition, your way of noticing the invisible threads between things, you open in a way that's impossibly beautiful. Not suddenly, not theatrically, but deeply. Quiet transformations always are. Sometimes you hold your feelings inside longer than you should, worried they'll be too much for someone else. But your emotions are not a burden, they are warmth, they are clarity. They are the thing that helps other people find their own center again. You love with intention, you forgive with grace, you listen with presence. And your tenderness is a gift, but it's one that deserves gentle hands. If the spring dress called to you, then your soul is craving softness right now. More slow mornings, more warm light, more breath, more space to simply exist without having to justify it. You don't need to push or rush or demand anything of yourself. You unfold naturally, in silence, in warmth, in your own timing. You are the soft light. You are the quiet breath. You are the kind of love that moves deeply, not loudly. That is your strength, and it always has been. If your eyes kept drifting toward the structured dress, the one shaped with clean lines and quiet certainty, then there's a steadiness inside you that doesn't need volume to be real. Your strength isn't dramatic, it's grounded, it's deliberate, it's the kind of power that comes from knowing yourself, even if you're still learning the fine details. Chaos drains you more than it inspires you. You're not built for games, mixed signals, or emotional noise. You need clarity, not because you're rigid, but because you respect your own energy enough not to waste it. There's an inner architecture in you, a natural alignment that helps you separate what truly matters from what's just taking up space. You don't build castles in the air, you build foundations. Slow, intentional, meaningful. And when life gets messy, you don't fall apart. You step back, you breathe, you realign. That ability is emotional maturity in its purest form, even if nobody ever taught you to see it that way. In relationships, You value honesty that shows itself through consistent action, not loud declarations. Anyone can say the right thing. You care about the people who follow through, those who offer presence instead of promises, those who treat your boundaries not as obstacles, but as invitations to show respect. And when a connection stops meeting you there, you don't cling to it. You don't beg. You quietly understand that your path continues in a different direction, and you move forward, even if it hurts.
Your goodbyes aren't punishment, they're clarity. A gentle but firm acknowledgement that you are choosing alignment over attachment. If this dress called to you, your soul might be rearranging itself right now. You could be craving direction, structure, simplicity, not in a controlling way, but in a "I'm ready to clean the emotional cupboards" kind of way. You might be looking at your life and finally deciding, this stays, this goes, this matters, this doesn't. Not because you're cold, but because you're done carrying what isn't yours. Your movement isn't frantic, your changes aren't impulsive. Everything you do is intentional, guided by a deep inner knowing that becomes clearer every time you listen to yourself. You are the steady line in the chaos. You are the backbone in your own story. And the moment you choose yourself, fully, unapologetically, something powerful shifts inside you. This is your dignity. This is your clarity. This is your quiet strength. If the dress that called to you was the one that moved like breath, loose, free, uncontained, then there is a wild, living truth inside you that refuses to shrink just so the world can feel comfortable. You are not meant to be neatly labeled. You are not built for tight boxes or small expectations. Your soul moves in curves, not straight lines. In rhythms, not rules. In instinct, not obligation. You choose what feels alive, not what feels acceptable. You choose paths because they stir something in your chest, not because they look safe on paper. You trust the quiet tug in your body more than the loud advice of people who barely know themselves. And yes, people may misunderstand you. They may look at your sudden changes, your leaps, your starts and restarts, and call it unpredictable. But what they don't see is that every shift you make brings you closer to your truth. Your intuition has guided you out of places long before your mind could explain why, and every time you listened, you saved yourself. There is a private space inside you that nobody gets access to without permission. A sacred room where your real voice lives, untouched by expectations or roles. Even when life gets tangled, even when responsibilities feel heavy, that inner space stays yours. Your quiet rebellion, your sanctuary, your untouched flame. You can be surrounded by people and still remain entirely yourself. You can love deeply without dissolving into the person you love. You can rebuild your whole life the moment it stops feeling like truth. You see beauty where others see nothing at all. In the way wind moves through branches, in scattered leaves glowing against pavement, in a single note of a song that feels like a message meant only for you. Your world is textured, poetic, alive. And when it comes to love, you cannot survive on surface-level connection. You need depth that breathes, passion that feels awake, a presence that lets you unfold without shrinking. You won't stay where your fire has to dim just to keep the peace. You know better than that now. If you are alone, it isn't loneliness. It's space. It's integrity. It's respect for your own heartbeat. Your energy is soft, but expansive. The kind that makes people feel lighter just by being around you. But this openness can attract those who want to feed on warmth they never learned to create within themselves. That's why your boundaries are sacred. Freedom isn't just about movement. It's also about protecting the flame that keeps you alive. You are not chaos. Chaos destroys. You are flow. Flow leads. Flow learns. Flow transforms. Flow becomes. You don't need everyone to understand you. True resonance has always mattered more than explanation. Your soul speaks the language of forests and wind and water. You find yourself again in silence, in solitude, in small moments that reconnect you to your own rhythm. Your healing is simple: a walk, a song, a warm blanket, a quiet room where your breath remembers itself. You are the flowing dress. You are the breath of freedom. You are the creative spark that refuses to dim no matter who tries to quiet it. If the dress that pulled you in was the dark magnetic one, the one that carries its power quietly, then there is an undeniable presence inside you. You don't have to speak loudly for people to feel you. You don't need attention to command a room. Your energy arrives before you do. It's subtle, steady, unmistakable. There is a depth in you that cannot be faked or taught. It comes from everything you've walked through: the pain, the awakenings, the times you had to rebuild yourself quietly when no one was watching. You don't reveal your entire heart at once. Your inner world has layers, shadows, light, stories, truths, the kind only people with real eyes and real presence can understand. Surface-level people exhaust you. Pretending feels pointless. Small talk feels like noise. You crave soul-level connection, contact that feels honest, raw, unfiltered. You want truth, not performance, presence, not posturing, emotion, not theatrics. And you're not afraid of intensity because you've lived through storms inside yourself that most people would never survive. You've known fear. You've known heartbreak. You've known endings that tore your blueprint apart. But instead of becoming hard, you became whole. Your strength is not sharp. It's deep. Not loud, but steady. Not demanding, but undeniable. There were moments in your past when you had to choose between being convenient or being authentic, between pleasing someone else or honoring your truth, between shrinking or standing firm. And even when the choice cost you, even when it hurt, you chose yourself. And that is why your presence carries weight now. You earned your intensity. You earned your clarity. You earned this quiet power that people feel without understanding why. Your passion is not a spark that flares and disappears. It's an ember that burns low, warm, constant. You don't love halfway. You don't show up halfway. You don't offer pieces of yourself. You offer presence, memory, honesty, soul. You refuse to stay where your spirit fades. You refuse connections that flatten you. You refuse to give your heart to anyone who cannot hold it with respect. Not because you are guarded, but because you are awake. You're not looking for someone. You're looking for resonance. The person who speaks in your rhythm, who sees with the same sincerity you offer. Your certainty is your anchor. Your silence holds more truth than most people's explanations. Your stillness is a kind of gravity, the kind that pulls real hearts toward you and sends the wrong ones quietly away. You are the evening dress. You are depth and fire. You are the calm center of your own storm. Your soul no longer tolerates anything less than authenticity, and anyone who stands beside you must be real, because you've outgrown every version of yourself that's settled. Each dress you saw, each energy you felt, none of it was really about fabric or color or style. They were mirrors, quiet reflections of the many selves you carry within you. Because you are not just one version of yourself. You shift, you soften, you deepen, you rise, you rest. You move through inner seasons just as naturally as the world outside does. There are days when you are spring, warm, gentle, tender. You move softly, honestly, with a kind of quiet care that heals without trying. Even when the world feels loud, you become a small moment of calm inside it. There are days when you are structure, centered, clear, grounded. Your heart wants direction, purpose, meaning. You look at your life and instinctively know what to keep and what to release. On these days, your boundaries feel in truth, not protection. There are days when you are freedom, wind, movement, color, breath. You break out of shapes that no longer fit, step away from expectations that feel too tight, and return to the rhythm of your own soul. You need space, expression, motion, something real enough to make your heart expand. And then there are days when you are depth, fire, mystery, gravity. You don't raise your voice, yet your presence fills every corner of a room. You don't chase, you attract. You don't perform, you reveal. Your soul wants connection that touches bone, truth that feels lived, not spoken.
These four energies aren't four separate women. They are all you. You can be gentle and strong. You can be structured and wild. You can be deep and soft. You can be still and untamed. You're not one story. You're an entire collection of them. You're not one note. You're a full symphony. The dress you chose today isn't a permanent identity. It's simply the part of you speaking the loudest right now. The part of you that needs attention. The part that has something to say. The part that is asking to be honored in this moment. And if someday you return to this room, this inner space, and choose a different dress, that choice will be just as honest, just as valid, just as real. For now, just notice the soft shift happening inside you. Notice how your breath feels a little deeper. Notice how your mind feels a little clearer around the edges. It's as if something inside you has quietly come back into place, a recognition, a remembering. This is you hearing yourself. This is you recognizing your own truth. This is you coming home to yourself again. Now that you've walked through these four inner landscapes, softness, structure, freedom, and depth, pause for just a moment and feel what shifted inside you. Notice how your breathing has slowed without you trying. Notice how your thoughts feel gentler, less sharp around the edges. Notice how something quiet within you has stepped a little closer. The dress you chose didn't speak to your mind. It spoke directly to your being. It showed you what is alive inside you right now. A need, a truth, a longing, a pulse, a season. Something your soul has been whispering long before this moment. Sometimes we move so fast, days, weeks, months, that we miss the subtle signals our inner world keeps offering. And then a single image, a single choice, a single emotional spark brings us back to ourselves in an instant. So let this moment settle in your chest like warm light. Let it stay with you, not as a lesson, but as a quiet knowing. You're not meant to stay the same. You're meant to shift, to expand, to return to yourself again and again, as naturally as the seasons change. Some days you'll need gentleness. Some days you'll crave clarity. Some days you'll want expansion. Some days you'll seek depth. Every version of you is real. Every version of you deserves space. Every version of you is part of a larger truth. Today you listened, you chose, you felt, you returned. And that is enough, truly enough. If you feel comfortable, share in the comments which dress called to you. Sometimes someone else's reflection becomes a mirror for our own. Sometimes one person's truth unlocks another person's clarity.
Your words might be exactly what another soul needs in this moment. You might help someone feel seen in a moment they feel invisible. So tell me, which dress whispered to you? Which one felt like home? I'm here, listening. Thank you for walking through this inner journey with such presence. Thank you for feeling each emotion with honesty. Thank you for choosing yourself, even for a few quiet minutes. And most of all, take care of yourself, gently, softly, truthfully, because you, the living, shifting, breathing you, are a quiet work of art, not a performance, not a role, a living piece of soul.